For farmers who are seeking funds to boost their businesses without success, help appears to be on the way. The federal government is set to restructure the Bank of Agriculture to encourage low-interest credit facility. Speaking to China's television in Abuja, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Chief Audu Ogbe, explained that the restructuring might see interest rate fall to 5%. Chief Ogbe added that the federal government wants to encourage young people to get into farming, and efforts are being made to make agriculture attractive to them.
The banks have been very cold. They won't lend. It's too risky. And that's why most farmers haven't gone beyond 1 acre. So now the CBN is intervening, government is coming in, we're thinking of an agri fund, and we're about to restructure the Bank of Agriculture. We're looking at interest rates of not more than 7%, probably 5%. We're talking to them and they are responding. I wouldn't ask any young person to go and take a hoe and cutlass and try to do yam heaps and so on. We have to mechanize and support them with cheaper credit. We've also done a lot of work on the soil itself. We've done research now. Fertilizer that's useful in Akwa Ibom won't work in Osun State because the soils are different. That research is going to help young people going because we now guarantee maximum profit, improve seeds and machinery. Then a young person can go raise a banana farm of 1 hectare and make 700,000 per month if he or she follows the rules and irrigates.
We're now being joined by Mr. Tilawa Adebajo, an economist, to look at some of these issues. Good to have you join us on the news at 10. Quickly here, your assessment of the interbank forex market relaunch so far, though some will say it's still early in the day, but there must be some focus on that. How well has it played out?
Well, I think first of all, let's take a look at what has happened in the sense that the Naira has now been freed and the Naira is now convertible, and we're now managing the Naira in terms of market forces, in terms of demand and supply. There's a bid and offer rate, and with the sort of system they've put into place, it's just a question now of how to work the market. There's now what we call a forward market, whereby you can enter into a contract to buy Naira maybe 3 months down the line. Citibank was one of the first banks in Nigeria to go ahead with a $20 million FX forward contracts. So what that does is that it's going to help with the liquidity in the market, and it's going to bring in confidence into the market. But as we said, it's still very early days, because when they first came in, they came in with about 4 billion to clear the backlog. That action in itself pulled up about 1.1 trillion out of the system in itself. So it impacted the banks a lot. And the companies that bid for this money now have to pay the difference between the 199 and the 255 it settled at. And as you can see from when the market has opened, it's gone to about 285, settled about 285 by close.
You're not talking about liquidity now as it is. The central bank is now a participant in the market. Perhaps has that helped the liquidity level?
Yes, it has helped, but I think what the central bank is doing that they shouldn't be doing is they're trying to do some sort of target pegging.
And they shouldn't be doing that?
They shouldn't be doing that. They should let the market flow and let the forces of the supply and the demand sort it out. What we need now is a lot of enlightenment. The central bank needs to go out on an enlightenment campaign. And even the banks, who are the key beneficiaries of this market, also need to enlighten the customers, because people are not sure. A lot of people do not exactly know how this market is going to work. And more importantly, by the time the rate drops to about 300, then you can begin to trigger more of the supply coming outside the central bank. Because outside of the central bank, we have $20 billion a year that comes in remittances. We have another 10 billion sitting in domiciliary accounts in Nigerian banks as we speak. And we have another 10 billion of miscellaneous money that comes in from export proceeds and oil company proceeds. So the people holding this money are not too sure about how this market is going to work. So once confidence returns into this market and the central bank pulls out of the targeted pegging they're doing, then people will have confidence and begin to rush into the market. So we might see a little bit of a decline in the beginning, but eventually the market will begin to settle down because everybody will now participate in one market instead of having 3 different markets.
Well, this weekend, today, all through the week, a lot of people speculation about the demand, high demand for the Naira, which some think that is going to put a lot of pressure on the Naira. And perhaps, could you explain more on that, the fears of some investors? And
Well, the investment community now, especially for the foreign investors, are at an advantage because of the devaluation of the Naira. So the assets are a lot cheaper now. But for the local investors who are looking to make investments locally, to be able to buy new machinery, and to be able to kickstart their businesses, they are more concerned about how they're going to get Naira to be able to buy the dollars, to be able to import their critical raw materials. So the backlog has been cleared, but in terms of using that Naira to be able to chase those dollars to get their raw materials is really what the people who are in the local market are concerned about now.
Well, it's summer holiday for so many people, and a lot of them would want to get some of the forex, and there's every possibility that the liquidity of the forex will continue to increase. Will there ever be a time where we'll see a drop in that?
Yes, because what is happening with the system we have now is that there's no issue anymore about devaluation of the Naira. The Naira now will appreciate and depreciate depending on the conditions. Unfortunately, when the oil was trading at $120 a barrel, because of the system we had that was running by the central bank, the Naira should have gone down to maybe close to about 100 Naira to the dollar because of the availability of supply. But because of we had a distorted system, it wasn't allowed to do that. So unfortunately, we're starting this system when oil is about $30 to $35 a barrel. So once the economic situation improves and there's confidence, the issue really is confidence. Once there's enlightenment campaign by the central bank and of course the commercial banks themselves who are the beneficiaries of this market, and people understand and we can restore confidence in that market will begin to pick up and we can begin to see more availability of dollars.
Sad revelation you just gave to so many Nigerians that we missed out on a good chance to bring the Naira up. But looking at the, I don't want to use the disparity now, the gap between the parallel market and what we see with the banks. Will there ever be a time where we may just close up that gap because the margin is really wide?
Yes, the margin is wide now. When we started, we started about 255. Now we're down to 285. So my own expectation is that 300 would be the trigger point. And by the time it gets to 300, you begin to see more of the closing of the gap. If the gap is between 5 Naira to 10 Naira, I think the differential now becomes minimal. And that's what we need to aim for. Not a perfect blend, but at least a differential of about 5 Naira.
Tilawadi Bajo, many thanks for speaking with us here on the News at 10.
Thank you very much, Sulaiman.
To the time for us to look at more on our business news as we take a walk into our business studios. Adeshwa Josh is waiting for us.
Thanks a lot, Sulaiman. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Business News. Access to finance is one of the major challenges in the agricultural value chain, but it appears this concern is about to be surmounted for cashew growers. This is because the West Africa Trade and Investment Hub, a subsidiary of USAID, is strategizing on working capital for the farmers.
Working through the financial institution of Nigeria. We are also working with the impact lenders, some of like Growfin, some large organizations that are doing loans to smaller organizations that have an impact, and cashew has a real impact to the economy, and it's touching, like in Nigeria, more than 300,000 families. So the future is for the cashew producers, processors. The market is there. worldwide, and it's just the beginning. The banks will start lending more and more to the cashew sectors.
They need finance for working capital to procure the raw nuts, raw cashew nuts that they are going to process. They need to stock them. They need to also treat them, warehouse them. So there are lots of financial needs for this, and equipment also.
It was a full trading week at the local buzz, but bearish sentiments dominated activities at the market. The all-share index declined by 0.17% to end the week at 28,805.45. Market capitalization dropped to 9.89 trillion naira. A turnover of 1.14 billion shares worth 13.61 billion naira in 21,868 deals were traded this week by investors at the exchange. Skybank led the week's top losers with 31.03%. Honeywell flour mills appreciated by 14.79% to emerge the top percentage gainer. FBN Holdings, GT Bank and Axis Bank collectively accounted for 30.8% of total volume traded this week. The naira is expected to come under pressure against the dollar next week on concerns of anticipated shortage of the greenback. Market watchers believe the local unit could depreciate on the parallel market as holidaymakers seek dollars to finance their summer vacations abroad. The naira tumbled 4.3% to another record low against the dollar at 292 naira 25 kobo at the spot market on Friday, as the central bank sold dollars to boost liquidity on the interbank market. On the black market, however, the naira was quoted at 365 naira to the dollar. And that's business news tonight. The news at 10 continues in a moment. I am Adeshewa Josh.
South Africa has begun a countdown to the World AIDS Conference 2016, which begins on Monday the 18th. The flag of the countdown, South Africa's Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa led a delegation to a shelter for people living with HIV and AIDS orphans. Our Johannesburg Bureau Chief Pt.3 reports that the conference will be opened by the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon.
South Africa's Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa said it was only fitting to flag off the countdown at Nkosi's Haven.
We heeded the call and the message that was made by Nkosi Johnson. Whereas in the year 2000, we were all over the place and not providing the care, the love to people who are suffering with HIV/AIDS, and today, largely also because of the call that he made, we now have 3.4 million people under treatment taking antiretrovirals.
The late Nkosi Johnson's iconic speech at the year 2000 AIDS conference in Durban also pricked the world's conscience. He died a year later at 12, but today a lot of his desires have been achieved, others not yet.
We want to bring HIV and AIDS to an end. We are working towards that end.
This whole thing affected my education because I had to leave school at home.
Beyond the actual infection or disease, stigma still dogs and traumatizes the already traumatized carriers.
Everyone who I used to stay with, they didn't want to touch the plate I'm using or the spoon I was using. And the children, no one wanted my two children to eat with their spoons or with their plates.
Let's come together and help orphans. Thank you.
The United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is one of the top attendees expected at the summit taking place in Durban.
We will be having a lot of AIDS activists from all over the world, scientists,
both, scientifically minded people, medical people, as well as social activists.
And from Nigeria, many state and federal government officials have already arrived, as well as the First Lady of Benue State, Mrs. Eunice Autumn. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Rangers International Football Club edge past Aqua United 3-2 to go top of the Nigeria Professional Football League. That's on Sports News.